Hey guys, this is Yolanda from Writing with Purpose. I am a content creator, a blogger, and a visionary. And I'm coming today just to do an intimate video about my journey in my writing. And it has been such a long process. Hopefully you can glean from some of the stories I'm going to share. And maybe you can hopefully, get something out of this if you're looking to get into writing or if you do have a desire for writing. I'm going to go through like a timeline from when I first noticed that I had a love for writing. So, the first time I wrote down a cheat sheet for me to go by because I can't remember everything. But in preschool, my favorite toy that I used to love was a blackboard. I don't remember if I got it for Christmas. All I remember, I think I probably did get it for Christmas, but for some reason I don't remember. I just remember I used to carry this. It was like, it had a little handle on it, and it was a blackboard that had chalk, but it also had these like sliding cards that you can slide onto the blackboard. It had these magnetic letters, the same type of magnetic letters you would put on a fridge, to spell out something on the fridge. So it was the same type of magnetic letters. And then I remember the cards that stick out, like I can still see the card in my head, is milk for some reason. The word milk. And then, they had other cards like cat, dog, things like that. So you would actually, and they were cutouts. So you would actually place the magnet inside the cutout to spell the word. And that was like one of my favorite toys of all time, like for real, besides my dolls. And so from that, in elementary school, I remember I was always really good at spelling bees. I would win spelling bees like that, or I would be like one of the last, or like the top 5 in the spelling bee. And then I always would like get really good grades in English and spelling in elementary school. So I always struggled with math. That was not my strongest skill. And then in high school, no, in junior high school, I joined the newspaper. And junior high school was hard for me because I did not know what I wanted to be. And the guidance counselor didn't have they didn't really help me. They didn't really guide me into any kind of field. They basically was like letting me do whatever I wanted to do. They didn't really look at my skills or my interest to really guide me. So it was kind of like I was just thrown to to pick my courses for high school by myself. I didn't really know what to do as far as what courses I should take in high school. So when I got to high school, I noticed my favorite subject was English. And I'm trying to think of how this all started. Like, I think I joined the yearbook. Yeah, I think I joined the yearbook in high school. I don't think I joined the newspaper. The newspaper was in junior high school. I was running track in high school. So that was my thing. And I got really into dancing. So back then it was break dancing, so I was really heavy into break dancing. I had these 2 other girls that we had a group, and I would go to the teenage club, and that was just my thing in high school, was my dancing and hanging out. And so I'm trying to think what from that point, oh yeah, my first rap song was in high school. My first job was Burger King. So I worked at Burger King for like 2 years when I was 16 to 18. They wanted for me to become a manager, but I didn't want to be a manager, so I left and went into working for a clothing store, a department store. And the rap song, I can still remember the rap I wrote. We are the Burger King crew. We're making these hamburgers just for you. And if we were smart, we would quit 'cause this job ain't worth. So, yeah, that was me in high school. And I'm trying to see. I don't have my glasses. Oh, yeah, so that led me into poetry. I started writing poetry heavy, heavy, heavy. Um, all kinds of different poetry. I still have the poems. I've never done anything with them. I'm wondering if I should make a poetry book. That would be pretty cool. I have not, yeah, I have never published any of my poems. So I don't know, maybe I'll do that. I'll think about that. I think I might do that. Um, Gosh, let me see here. This is kind of fun talking about this. Um, oh yeah, in high school, I noticed that I had this desire, like catalogs was a big thing. Like the JCPenney catalog. We used to get Avon Fashions and any kind of catalog that came in the mail. Those were like, because we didn't have internet back then. So I noticed that I would really notice on how they wrote the descriptions under, like, let's say if you was looking for a dress, and I really had a strong desire. At the time, I did not know that was called copywriting, but that's what I wanted to do. And I did not have the words of knowing what that was. So when I was in high school, if I knew that back then, I could have really told my guidance counselor that's what I wanted to do, but I had no clue if that's what it was called. So copywriting was my interest, and I didn't know what that was for the longest time. I would go to the library and search for like writing, how to get into writing jobs, writing careers. Look in the card catalogs back then. They didn't have the internet, so we would have to go through the card catalogs, and I would take out books on writing. And even when I got to college, I majored in journalism. But with journalism, I didn't like journalism because it was too structured. It's not the type of writing I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a reporter. I wanted to write freestyle. And I did not like it. I remember I was also in the newspaper on campus in college. And I wrote 2 articles, and they were really good. I got noticed for those 2 articles. And then, but as far as my personal writing, I wrote really negative stuff. I didn't write anything positive. It was always about the struggles and pain that I was going through, and it was real negative, I don't know, it wasn't positive at all. It was almost like I was venting to get my emotions and my feelings out, and I would actually write in a journal. And one time I went to this church. My friend invited me to this church called Flames of Fire. And back then, I didn't believe in laying of the hands. So when they called us to the altar, the pastor was laying hands on me. And that's the first time I ever experienced, literally, he touched my can't remember if he touched my stomach or if I think he touched my head, and I fell out on the floor. Didn't even know what hit me. It just felt like a lightning or something, and I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know I fell. I had no idea what happened. All I knew was that when I woke up, I was lying on the floor. Now my friend, she was, I noticed when he touched her stomach, she started trembling like she was resisting, and it was like a real strong resistance. And then she didn't fall or anything. She stood up, and she just was just trembling like she was fighting it. Well, after we left church, oh yeah, after that, he spoke to us for a short period of time, and he prophesied over my life. And he says, your writing is gonna turn from negative to positive. I don't remember all the other details, but he said, you're not gonna write negative anymore. You are gonna write very positive. It's gonna be, he just kept on saying it was gonna be positive. So I was like, oh no, that's not even possible, because I looked at my writing and I was like, that ain't gonna happen. I don't see how that is possible. So I'm trying to think. There was something else that happened. Oh yeah, when we was driving home from the church, both of us wound up getting sick. We had to pull over on the side of the road, and we both felt like we was gonna throw up. And I believe that was from the laying of the hands, like the spirits, any evil spirits that we were carrying inside was coming out. I truly believe that was like a purging of like anything that was negative that was inside us, spiritually. We were getting purged from it, and we were actually felt like throwing up. Hold on for a minute. I'm using this tablet as a viewfinder because I'm on a digital camera. Okay, so after that happened, I used to go to Barnes and Nobles. Like, Saturdays was my day to go to Barnes and Nobles. I used to spend all day. I loved it. This was like in my 20s and 30s, I guess. Like, this was after college. And I would spend hours upon hours. I was also into designing jewelry, so I would actually go to the Beads and Buttons magazines, and trying to think of what else. There was this magazine called Communication Arts. There was a thick yellow, looked like a catalog, but a magazine style, but thick enough to be like a book. I used to love, love, love that, because it was like a combination of like merging words with images and graphics. And guess what that turned out to be? Instagram. The stuff that we're doing now on Instagram, that's what that communication arts kind of was teaching and showing. And that was what I love to do because it related to copywriting and dealing with words and images. So I was like, oh my gosh. Back then Instagram was not around, and I used to gravitate, and I loved that magazine. And I didn't even realize about the Communication Arts magazine until I was on Instagram for a long period of time. I said, wait a minute, I remember this magazine I used to love, and it was the same kind of style as far as Instagram, like you creating canvas. And so that's why I love Instagram so much. I mean, I really gravitated towards Instagram because I love creating content. I love it. I love the mixture of words and design. And so from that, I mean, I fell into just traditional jobs, for traditional jobs that I never was able to get my foot into a writing career. Did not have a degree in or background. Even though I went to school for journalism, I wound up changing my major because I did not like journalism. And there was no other subject or like degree that you can take it during that time for like writing. There was only journalism majors. So I wound up getting a liberal arts degree. And I did go back to school for digital media and design, which I loved that too. I got a certification in digital media and design, and that was a lot like dealing with graphic design and dealing with the communication arts, dealing with the images and words. And I used to spend hours upon hours, even late night at the library, going to the computer lab, working on the Macs, like these huge Macs. I was in heaven. I was in heaven, and that was for like a whole year. And I really enjoyed my digital media design classes. And so after that, oh, I forgot all about my blog. Before that even happened, before I did digital media design, this was between, I guess, after, I think I was still in college. This was after college in 2000, yeah. This was after college. That's when I started my blog. And I had heard about it through the Writer's Digest a couple years, like maybe 2 or 3 years prior to me starting the blog. I read it in the Writer's Digest because I used to get a subscription, and I remember reading about blogs, and I'm like, what is this? But I took a side note, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna keep that, on the back burner. Well, 3 years later is when the Lord spoke to me and said, you need to start a blog. Like, it was strong. It was a strong feeling that said, start now. So I didn't even know how to start the blog. I didn't know what it was going to be about. Back then it was just basically about a diary. People wrote like diary format. So it wasn't, there was no video. They did not have social media. Social media was just coming out, like Twitter and LinkedIn was just coming out. We did not have no Instagram. YouTube was not a thing. I'm trying to think. MySpace was the big thing. MySpace, which I was never on MySpace, but that was like a big thing. So I started this blog not really knowing what I was doing, and learned as I went, bit by bit by bit. Now, one thing I want to say is that I had a hard time with procrastination, not only in writing, but just in my life in general. And I was a heavy procrastinator. I would pray for God to break procrastination over my life, and he did. He really did. I noticed my blogging over a period of time, over the years, has helped me become consistent with my writing. And not only with my writing, it has helped me be consistent. It has helped me be consistent with a lot of other areas of my life. I'm still struggling with some areas, like in my personal life, things that I don't want to do that are not, like taxes. I do not, there's certain things that I just do not like to do, so I push it off till, until the very tail end of the deadline. So that's something that I'm trying to get better at. But for the most part, I have learned to really take to move consistently in whatever I'm doing, and like whatever the long-term goal is, I break those goals down into smaller goals, so this way it doesn't feel overwhelming, and I'm just chopping things up and keeping focus on what I need to do at that time for the small term goals. I think that's the key, is focusing on the small term goals. So and that leads me up to the point of writing my first ebook, which I just, completed. I think it was like a year and a half ago. I wrote my first ebook, and it's called 7 Deadly Sins. So that is on Amazon. I actually wrote it because I wanted to see how the process works to create an ebook. So I wanted to, actually, yeah, and yeah, so that is, hold on. Yeah, so that is my writing journey, my timeline. And I just want to share, if you're struggling with your purpose, or what you feel you want to do with your life, or you don't know what you want to do with your life, I would recommend looking at your roots of your past history, from the time you was little all the way up to where you are now. There are hidden nuggets of information that lead you along the path of what you need, or what your purpose is, or what your desire, your heart's desires are. And I mean, like I said, our sole purpose is to glorify the Lord, and that's basically it. Is to, we were born here to praise and to worship the Lord. Now there's a purpose and a design for everybody's life. So what you was brought here designed to do is hidden in all the stories and all the history of your life. And you need to really, the same way I just broke down my timeline, you may need to go back and look at your timeline in history of your life and see the hidden nuggets of what your interests, where your interests lie, the things that you love to do, the things you're good at, and that will help you string your vision and your purpose, and you can implement your goals. I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun to make. It just popped into my head today, so this is kind of like a random video. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care and God bless.